This NFL MVP edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Best Ball Mania is live with $15 million in prizes. Sign up with SGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN.
Hey folks, it's Rex Burkhead. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Cox.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, second the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kram?
Dog.
MVP.
They're chanting
like
MVP.
The crowd in Philadelphia chanting for Jalen Brunson. MVP. No.
Ryan,
different MVP award.
you're talking a lot of shit for
What
a
do you
guy who
mean?
just lost back-to-back games to the Pacers.
Who lost?
The Knicks.
I haven't lost.
I said the Knicks.
I get the jersey next round if they win.
Then it becomes we.
Well, there's no we. Not yet.
Okay.
But they were chanting MVP for Jalen Brunson.
Congrats.
Philly.
Is he going to win the award?
I don't think that's who was voting for the award. Unfortunately, otherwise Joel Embiid might have a couple. Oh wait, he did.
He already has one MVP, right? Jalen Brunson 0 MVPs.
That's true.
But we are
That's
here.
the way he likes it, with a chip on his shoulder.
We are here to talk National Football Association. Our early look here on the NFL MVP award market, and we got an NFL schedule release show coming out right Wednesday night. We're gonna
big release.
Yes.
Big.
have to know when to come.
Commissioner Goodell's been saving it up for weeks.
Oh, he is dying for that release. Once the release
It's
happens,
all swollen.
we'll be there to break down. I think we're gonna give out some of the favorite, because as soon as the schedule comes out, the game of the year lines and odds will come out, and then we'll pick a couple of our favorite besides like big picture schedule stuff, maybe even a little NFL Week 17 analysis for Underdog Fantasy as well.
We should have some sort of fun side wager on the number of like CLV, my 3 games of the year versus your 3 games of the year. Who has the most CLV?
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Little sharp off, Ryan.
We'll come up with a fun trophy idea, but I do think that, because that's the whole point. Why are you betting it now if you're not going to get tons of CLV, right?
That's true. It doesn't even matter if you win, Ryan. It's just whether or not you get that sweet CLV.
We'll just call this our inaugural CLV episode.
CLV off.
Yeah.
I like that. And of course, this week on SGPN, WNBA is back. So check out the WNBA Gambling Podcast with Terrell Furman, Scotty Reichel, and the SGPN network feed. You may have already subscribed to the SGPN network feed on Apple Podcasts. Go back, make sure downloads are on, subscribe on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. That way you have access to every single episode of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network catalog. We put out a ton of episodes, of course, all for free. Why not have them already at your disposal?
Very odd to me, but it does seem like there are savages out there that would prefer to subscribe to one feed and get all the episodes.
Yeah, that is not. That is a minus EV.
I watch Sean delete episodes when he's done with them. There's no way he's signing up for a feed that's going to give you like what, a dozen episodes a day.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I just feel like it's not plus EV for you to have.
Oh no! Well, the
you
podcast
prefer
app
extra
is,
feeds.
The podcast app is pretty easy to download stuff on, or check it out on the SGPN app. You can just easily access that feed as well. App is pretty sweet. Kramer.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that there are savages out there that love love it all at once.
come
It's
on.
like a fire hose.
Yes.
Well, I like to be able to pick up the NBA hose and just get NBA water. I don't want to get hit in the face with some golf
Right.
water.
No, you like having. I thought you said you like having two hoses.
No,
hit you the MLB hose, the NBA hose.
Yeah, which well, it depends on who's hosting the NBA show. With the water, yeah. Well, we can move on, but yeah, no, I certainly these people exist in the wild, so shout out to you. Subscribers to the SGPN feed.
And shout out to David checking in here for another 200 to 1 special. Yes, last year, of course, you want to talk about some CLV. Gave out Christian McCaffrey 200 to 1 on not only this show. I think I also gave it out on VSiN, and that was a sweat. I never ended up hedging out. Unfortunately, place where I placed it didn't offer cash out. Although I wouldn't have cashed out, but it got all the way down to. Do we know what did McCaffrey? No, it was
10 to 1.
Yeah, it was probably.
It got sweaty.
It was close to single digits.
It's almost like it got sweaty because it had to, because they were taking the action.
Honestly, it was one of those things where I think if Lamar didn't have that last game where he really went off, I think it was once again on the Dolphins. He had that it was like a 5 touchdown game against the Dolphins that kind of spiked him and got, because if you recall. Purdy had that game where he threw for 4 interceptions against the Ravens, but Lamar didn't play particularly great. It was a lot of defense stuff. And then it was like, okay, if Christian McCaffrey can finish out the season well, they might be able to get it. And then Lamar had that awesome game and really just secured, cemented his status there as MVP.
Yeah, interesting, because we are going back and kind of, again, if you're in the Patreon, you'll see this in the tab in the future sheet for this episode, but compiled all the historical data and looking at even just going back to last year and being oh wow, Lamar got all the first place votes, but Josh Allen was the one guy to get the first place vote that wasn't. It was last year is a very, very interesting vote. It doesn't look like many of the other votes. Like the idea that Dak somehow was in there, it kind of stands out as an outlier. And like you said, it kind of also was a no sweat proposition because Lamar locked it up down the stretch.
No, but it certainly, as David in the chat points out, $20, but that was a quite a little sweat there.
Well, and that's, I mean, it's like physics, but the further you get away from zero, the bigger your value is going to be, especially this time of the year. So what we generally all we see is the odds compress as the season goes. As we get closer to the season, you just see less long shots, and the long shots get shorter. So you just bet them early. That's the lesson, right?
Oh yeah.
Lock them in early. This is one of the markets we like early, right?
100%. All right. We're going to start walking through the market with the longest of long shots. Before we do, underdogfantasy.com, promo code SGPN. Best Ball Mania is here again. Summer is perfect time for just firing off some Best Ball Mania drafts. $25 entry. You can win up to $15 million in prizes. And again, it is the best way to play fantasy football. All you do is draft the team. You never have to look at it ever again. And up to $250 in bonus cash. So there's a chance you deposit, you get 10 free shots at your share of $15 million in prizes. And then also the underdog pick'em, perfect for NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs. I just tweeted out at Sean T Green, play I like for a little 2-teamer, a little 2-player. Fantasy projection entry I like for tonight's action. Get it all over at underdogfantasy.com, promo code SGPN. Kramer.
Oh, look at, by the way, the underdog graphic has the team where I was sniped from Caleb Williams getting absolutely reached on, where I went 7 receivers to start. Who can forget?
We were all there, Ryan. We all recall where we were when that happened.
It's just like Woodstock.
So obviously MVP is a quarterback award.
Most valuable player?
Yes.
Okay.
Ryan,
I was reading it out.
How many receivers have won the NFL MVP?
I mean, I unfortunately I don't know, Sean. 2?
0 receivers.
Oh, wow. 0 receivers.
0 tight ends. I thought maybe Ditka would have snuck in there. I mean, he had a dominant rookie year.
Did anything stand out from the positional stuff?
No. I mean, I didn't know a kicker ever won it. Do you know what year it was, Ryan?
I do. It was 1982.
Oh, okay. That's crazy.
Played for the Redskins. Was that not the strike? Wasn't that a strike?
Yeah, Mark Mosley.
Yeah,
that was a weird one. And our buddy Joe Theismann, a year after 1983. Shout out to Joey T.
Couple other nuggets that I found interesting from the historical data. Jim Brown, who won the first 2 awards, listed as a fullback. All 4 years he wins, he's listed as a fullback for whatever reason.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I just something I had to add in the counting logic here. But yeah, I basically the big takeaway from the reason to have the chart looking back was, okay, let's look at frequency over time. 68 MVPs have been handed out. 47 have been quarterbacks, 18 running backs, like Sean said, 1 kicker and 2 defensive players, which is a fun trivia for the bar. 2 players to have won from the defensive side of the ball, not counting the kicker, of course. One would be considered, I think, easy in Lawrence Taylor. The season he had when he won in '86 was an all-world year, and most people remember the Bears defense from that year. But the second one is Alan Page back in 1971. You can sound real smart to the old guys at the bar with that one. So highly recommend you bring that trivia.
Yeah. Anytime you run into Colby, ask him about the 71
definitely.
season.
But if you zoom into the last 20 years, Sean, it's 17 quarterbacks and 3 running backs. So all times 47 quarterbacks, 18 running backs. Last 20 years, 17 quarterbacks, 3 running backs. So let's zoom in last 10 years. What do we got? It turns out it's 10 quarterbacks. And I think you tabulated earlier 11 straight quarterbacks. Yep. And you had another nugget on the type of quarterback.
Type of quarterback?
Or the team being a 1 seed.
Yeah,
yes.
you basically to win this award, you have to be the number 1 seed and be a quarterback, because almost every year you are also obviously it's a quarterback and a number 1 seed. 2016, Matt Ryan, if you recall, they were not the number 1 seed there. In 2014, when Aaron Rodgers won, he was technically the number 2 seed, although they had the same record. They were both 12-4 that year. Adrian Peterson, loophole. When he won in 2012, running back, that's an outlier.
I would almost asterisk that out of there.
Because he was that was the last time we had a non quarterback win,
because his year was independent of wins and losses. It was like you had an all-time running back year, you're getting the award.
Yep. And then 2008 Peyton Manning was not a number 1 seed, but for the most part, if you're a quarterback, you got to get the number 1 seed. So also consider.
I feel like we've ruled out a lot of people already.
Yeah, I mean
that's the game, right?
Yes, essentially getting rid of some people and getting rid of teams. I think that's something that after like re-looking at it, you have to factor that in. I think because also the AFC is so competitive. For instance, CJ Stroud at 10-1. Would you rather take that or Houston Texans that have the number 1 seed overall? I think and those markets aren't up yet, but I think something certainly to consider. Would you rather take the number 1 seed or would you rather take them to win MVP?
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be, at least odds wise, there's going to be some longer stuff in the NFC that maybe we find a little bit more interesting because I don't know, that conference isn't as top heavy, but maybe not. We'll see.
The surprise aspect of you being longer odds and then all of a sudden being in the MVP conversation has to be married to some sort of insane success on the field.
Yes.
And so, I mean, and Stroud's a great example of someone who had great success early in his career, didn't sniff the MVP.
No, I think he did.
We said he scored 4 MVP scoring points, whatever that means.
Yeah. So I think it's like someone probably threw him a couple 4th or 5th places, but I think you can also rule out rookies. I know everyone is hyped up about Caleb Williams.
He's generational talent, Sean.
Yeah, Caleb Williams, even though he's still 75-1, I don't think we should even at 75-1. I don't think it's worth firing on Caleb Williams.
So we've ruled out non-quarterbacks. We've ruled out.
Well, and I think there could be the case.
Let's quickly look at some of the stuff we have here while we're ruling stuff out. Because I did, and not all books are the same, but shout out to FanDuel because they only listed maybe a dozen defensive players and they're all 200-1 or longer. I mean, I swear It's you go to DraftKings, it looks like someone's mom emailed them and said, "Hey, can you get this guy listed?"
Yeah, Derek Stingley Jr.
They got anyone. So it like
of defensive players, is there anyone you're even considering?
it has to be someone that could be like Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
Because he he's the closest thing to someone that probably could have won it in the modern era. Aaron Donald, JJ Watt, TJ Watt, some of the best defensive linemen we've seen have not really come close to this award. So I don't think because what's the path? You have to set the sack record I think that's the starting point. And so yeah, maybe if you like a guy to win Defensive Player of the Year, you sprinkle, but no, it's impossible. It's literally impossible.
The only one I could almost consider is TJ Watt. He was the only one I could almost consider because we know the splits of the Steelers with and without TJ Watt. We know what a difference maker he is on defense. We know they're going to be either starting Russell Wilson or Justin Fields at quarterback. Not a great offense. So for and you could see the narrative, right? If the Steelers finish 15-2, Ryan, on a season led by their defense, where TJ Watt is going nuts and sets the sack record, is that priced appropriately at 300 to 1?
You know, now that you say it like this,
yeah,
to me the only answer is Myles Garrett, because Myles Garrett is they don't want to give it to Deshaun Watson.
That's true.
They'd be dying to give some sort of award to anyone else. Maybe Myles Garrett has an insane.
See, yeah, I see the case for Myles Garrett.
This is like a gun to the head scenario.
Yeah,
if I got to take one of these guys.
TJ, if I had to take a defensive player, I would take TJ Watt at 300 to 1. He's the only one I could at least build some sort of narrative.
Yeah, it feels like fool's gold. It is funny because we basically also said like don't even look at receivers.
Yeah.
But real quick, let's look at running backs.
Well, I think in the receiver, let's click over to the receiver market.
We'll pull up receiver.
We're doing a thorough analysis for the.
I'll include tight ends here, even though they probably don't have a chance. So the receivers that you're going to look at are the same receivers that are probably in the sub 30 to 1 range for offensive player of the year. Guys who could have 2,000 yards receiving, come close to setting records, whatever it may be. Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, 100 to 1 each. Any interest?
Yeah. So I would say Tyreek Hill. I know he got close there. I last year I think his odds were, like he was down to like 30 to 1, 25 to 1. There was some talk of him. I think the fact that
he was in there, he was in the mix, like just from like almost like a attaboy. We got to talk about you.
I think the fact that he has Jalen Waddle across from him. I think the fact that Tua is considered a lot better in the market even than JJ McCarthy or Sam Darnold. I think Tyreek Hill for me ultimately is a no, even at 100 to 1. But I would say Justin Jefferson at 100 to 1.
A little bit more interesting. They could want it. Maybe they want to give it to him over the quarterback. Also, Tyreek Hill last year, if you remember, I did take a piece of at 150 to 1.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure his odds should have gotten better. They did also draft a couple guys, and Sean, they brought in Odell Beckham Jr. That might get in the way. CeeDee Lamb at 150 to 1, even though he's a Cowboy, number 2 overall consensus fantasy player right now.
Nope.
Jamar Chase 150 to 1. Lot of mouths to feed there.
Yeah, I mean, like Jamar Chase, I think it would have to be Joe Burrow goes down again, and Jamar Chase puts a team on his back, which we kind of saw that to some degree.
I don't see any, because now we're getting to the range of maybe.
The problem is all Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, even Puka Nacua all have a quarterback with some recognition.
Yeah, I mean, even Kittle, Kelsey,
like the Vikings.
Devontae Adams.
Okay,
Aiden O'Connell. If he goes for like 2,000 yards with Aiden O'Connell and Antonio Pierce running the damn ball, just doesn't seem realistic.
No,
right?
No, and even Jefferson at 100 to 1. I think it's Jefferson at 100 to 1 is kind of like the Christian McCaffrey thing, where we came into the year not really knowing what that team is going to look like. The reason Christian McCaffrey was a good value was 1, it was 200 to 1. 2, the 49ers odds to win the NFC were so low, and they had a very good roster. there were questions at quarterback. The Vikings don't have that same roster. Their odds to get the number 1 seed are way lower than what the 49ers were last year. That's why I don't think it's even worth it at 100-1 for Justin Jefferson. If I had to take a receiver, it would be Jefferson though.
But if you're here's the interesting thing about Jefferson, and we'll get to the quarterbacks later. You can pair him with a quarterback who's also tremendously long odds, and you can say, I want to be extremely contrarian and say these 3 teams in the NFC North that maybe are a little bit more fragile than the odds suggest. Well, what if it's completely bizarro world and it is the Vikings? Could one of the quarterback or the receiver win the MVP award? Probably even then it's hard for me to believe, and I'd rather find a way to bet them to win the division.
There's some quarterbacks I like better at 100-1.
So all right, but receivers never won. They're not going to win. It seems very unlikely. We kind of talked our way in and out of why Jefferson would be the best bet, but even then, not interested. Running backs. So the McCaffrey angle works because it's easy to see him just having a tremendous amount of touches, touchdowns, all the good stuff that comes with being a stud in the Shanahan offense. And I'm done hating on McCaffrey. He's good too. He's also good at football. He doesn't just get love from the media. He's actually good at football. Are there any other running backs that could be the 200-1 McCaffrey from last year? Probably need a quarterback that has weakness, and you need the ability to score 20 touchdowns. So yeah, with that requirement, the fact that Nick Chubb is the next guy on the list at 200-1 is insane. He's not going to play until week 9.
Yeah, that's the other thing too.
Like what?
I mean, I was stating the obvious, but I think you have to play almost every game here as well. Like if you're quarterback, I mean, especially the skill position guys, I don't think you can miss a game really for injury. The only one I could maybe consider is Derrick Henry, but again, the formula where Derrick Henry gets MVP and he beats out Lamar, I think that is just such a small formula.
No, that's not happening.
And then Christian McCaffrey at 50-1, I don't think there's much juice in it. I think that angle was cooked, unfortunately, from last year.
I think for a running back, you need 100-1 or more.
Yeah,
Bijan, could he have an electric year on the turf? It just doesn't seem like he's got that dog in him.
Yeah, no.
All right, so Bijan and Chubb were 200-1. Mostert, Achan, Henry, Kyron Williams, Barkley, and Jahmyr Gibbs with Tony Pollard all 300-1.
Nah,
Barkley's the guy, because if you believe in the Eagles' ability to score touchdowns, get into the red zone, use the running game.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it would take a lot because they have a lot of big names on that offense. So the version where they get the number 1 seed because their offense and someone else doesn't beat out Barkley for it, I think is pretty slim.
Yeah, Kyron Williams might have the touchdown ceiling. Jahmyr Gibbs electric, but it just doesn't seem like he's going to get enough volume. Rashad White, Najee Harris, Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones, 400-1. Aaron Jones, chip on his shoulder up there in Minnesota.
Brian,
I might, you know what?
Come on.
I might endorse just take all the Minnesota skill position guys, Jefferson, Aaron Jones, and the quarterbacks.
I'll book that action. DM me at Sean T. Green.
Yeah. So running back's dead, right? No chance a running back can win that would be the ultimate heel turn. The year after the running back Zoom conference call, we got a running back. And by the way, the guy who I would actually take in this market is not on the list at FanDuel. It's Josh Jacobs. But to our earlier points, probably not worth it. So we're left with the quarterbacks.
Yep.
Starting at the bottom, because we'll easily to cross off a lot of these guys. Remember, if they're in their rookie year, probably not going to get there. And if they can't access the number 1 overall seed, going to be tough to get there. Jared Stidham might not be the starter. 300-1, along with Sam Howell, Sam Darnold, Drake May, Michael Penix. We've been piling on the Michael Penix bets, but he's a rookie, so we can't take him here.
I mean,
but Sam Darnold,
it's impossible.
Are we back? Last year I had him comeback player of the year and MVP.
This is Ryan. I know
two teams, 2 years.
I know I should just be looking at this with an analytical brain, but the fact a quarterback on his 4th team winning the MVP, I need more than 300-1 odds.
More than 300-1?
Yeah, higher. Give me 1,000-1, I'll consider it. Not at 300-1.
$10 bet, just in case.
No.
Rather
put it in the NFL slot machine.
Well, then you have $3,000 to put in the NFL slot machine. Do those $10 spins we love.
One $10 spin. I would get more out of that than a season long Sam Darnold MVP.
Do you think there's anyone in the world that has Sam Darnold MVP action 2 years running?
That's interesting. I would say no.
Could we hit him up? Be like, hey, dude, I've bet on your MVP.
If they do, they're probably listening to the show. So hit us up.
All right, we might need to circle back to this one. I'm intrigued. All right, 200 to 1. Gardner Minshew, who we, by the way, we're here. Antonio Pierce made a statement that's Aiden O'Connell will be starting as the number 1 in the offseason program.
Okay.
So whatever that, sometimes that's just for show, but Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell are 200 to 1. Jacoby Brissett, I just said Drake May 300 to 1. Brissett's 200 to 1. Jaden Daniels also 200 to 1 with Justin Fields, who is not going to be the starting quarterback to start the year, it seems, and JJ McCarthy 200 to 1. I do remember when we were hanging out with JJ's pops, where he's probably really stoked because he can drive to all the visiting stadiums for the Vikings in the North now. So shout out to him. 200 to 1, but he's a rookie, Sean, so we can't take him, right?
Nope.
Okay. Justin Fields 200 to 1. That seems really aggressive.
No.
Either of the Raiders quarterbacks on the run the damn ball system. Nope.
No, and I think if you like the Raiders quarterbacks, I think especially Minshew, his comeback player of the year odds would still be pretty long. So I think if you think Gardner Minshew is going to have a pretty good season, I think comeback player of the year is a more interesting actual market you could hit than versus MVP.
Yeah, it's hard. It just seems like if he has a good year, it's going to reflect in wins and losses, not necessarily statistical stuff.
Yeah, and
like I would be more. I wouldn't be surprised if someone else on the team maybe is able to do something. But yeah, it'll be strange to me if he's not the starter. Maybe they're doing that whole rescue thing, like let Aiden fail first.
Well, but I mean, Minshew is 50 to 1 to win comeback player of the year, and his path to get that to me is way more obtainable than MVP.
The narrative of a guy who lives in the van down by the stadium.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
Perfect. I think,
and he's good looking.
He's a good match for the city of Las Vegas.
He fucks too.
Just imagine him, Ryan, at Stadium Swim. Oh man, we got to alert Derek about.
Maybe contact's already been made.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Ryan, what would you put the odds at if we're doing the show in VSiN in the fall, hanging out after a show, maybe at the craps table, blackjack, and we sit and look over to our left or our right, and we see Gardner Minshew?
Oh, we would just say, hey man, we're doing this college football thing. We're dedicating it to Coach Leach. We'd love for you to say a couple words. We know how passionate he is about Coach Leach. He was up there and was. Once again, we loved really. Just start Gardner Minshew. Don't be silly.
So
no, nothing down here for me.
No. But I get at 50 to 1. I think
comeback player of the year.
Comeback player of the year. He's certainly interesting.
I feel like we need to put that on the schedule for the next couple weeks. You've been firing off some serious comeback player of the year takes in the office.
Let me see what my other. My other one I was floating out, Ryan's 100 to 1.
All right. Well, let's make sure we get that on the schedule in the next couple weeks. All right, 150 to 1. Dan Jones, Russell Wilson, Derek Carr, Bryce Young, Will Levis, and Geno Smith. Well, so Bryce Young, no, hell no.
It's
no,
crazy.
thank you.
I said in the office, it's crazy. You can get the number 1 pick overall in his second year, which is second year as a starter. That's when you kind of make your a nice breakout, a nice jump. And he's 150 to 1.
So if
I saw producer Josh just added him in 150 to 1.
This is, I'll say this about the tier.
Yeah. To
me, there's only one guy in this tier that I have any interest in betting on publicly.
What? So is there like public and then there's some secret private Kramer bets that are like a dirty little
if I'm at the Circa and I see Dan Jones like 200 to 1 ticket or a Drew Lock 500 to 1 ticket, I'll probably find my way to sprinkling. But Will Levis to me, checks a lot of boxes. It's an all-in play.
Yep.
They went all in. They brought in weapons everywhere. New coach who we trust that there's going to be a running game here. They certainly are going to find out what they have in Will Levis. This has been one of our angles, I think, of this offseason. Been doing a little bit of Will Levis hunting and getting some Titans players in best ball. I don't know if this is the best way to back the Titans. To me, I still like my Callahan Coach of the Year the most. I think I just think you don't need to achieve the highest of ceilings. Like if he like for example, if Will Levis wins the MVP, Brian Callahan has definitely won the Coach of the Year.
Yeah. So Titans are 6-11.
Bill Callahan wins Coach of the Year doesn't mean Will Levis is winning MVP.
So Titans were 6-11 last year, and you need obviously for Coach of the Year, you need to win 5 to 6 more games than the team did previously. That's why it's inherently a good opportunity for first year head coaches. So
I think they win their division.
Yeah,
that's the talking point.
And again, the division odds, we'll have to compare those to the Coach of the Year odds. I think you might even be getting a better price on the Coach of the Year odds.
Definitely.
But
22 to 1.
Yeah,
let's CLV
say,
in my pocket
let's
already.
Say Titans are 11-6, right? And you hit your Coach of the Year bet. And what is he Coach of the Year? It's like 25 to 1.
22 to 1.
22 to 1. Okay. Well, then let's say 11-6. Let's build even a little more outlier case. Let's say they get up to that 13-4, 12-5, maybe. If they get to that world and they are the number 1 seed, there's a damn good chance Will Levis is MVP at 150 to 1. So I like this Will Levis play here. He's a guy they went out of their way to build around.
Sean and producer Josh, notate this. But team previews will. I mean, the idea of a ladder, a season ladder.
Oh yeah,
right here. We're developing it right now. Well, you like the division win plus 600. You like the Coach of the Year plus 20. Yeah, we're having
alt over.
Sean, we will each give out one team ladder this off season.
Okay,
I mean, not name the Titans. We already are on the Titans.
Will Levis 100% in on it at the price, because the world where Will Levis makes a jump as a quarterback, surrounded by these great skill players. And you throw in the fact that they bring in a better head coach. They have a last place schedule. Their path to getting to the number 1 seed. I mean, that was the case I made for Tannehill. Like, they aren't that many years removed from kind of surprising everyone and being the number 1 seed in the AFC. Certainly, they're in a tough division. They're going to have their work cut out for them, but they do have the last place schedule, and I kind of like what they're doing. So 150 to 1 makes a bunch of sense.
Did you see they signed Tyler Boyd?
I did,
from the Bengals.
Always love Tyler.
It's a very deep receiver core. Like, they have a ton of talent on this offense. If they can get it blocked up, very intriguing. All right, dropping now. Big teardrop here. We're now exiting the clouds, entering the world of a slightly more realistic. 75 to 1, Caleb Williams and Deshaun Watson. I feel bad for Caleb Williams being put in this tier and him being the guy we have to cross off first because he's a rookie.
Well, if you had to, Ryan, if you had to choose one of these, Caleb Williams or Deshaun Watson?
Oh, Watson by a mile.
Really?
I'm not touching Deshaun Watson.
I'm the opposite. Caleb Williams by a mile.
Well, here's in my opinion, here's why.
Okay.
One, I do think Deshaun Watson's team is pretty good. And if Deshaun Watson leads this pretty good team to what their win outcome should be with like an average quarterback, it's probably going to be like 9 or 10 wins. So if he plays just above average, they could be a 12-13 win team. And he's definitely going to be in the mix because if he's playing well, he's not doing the horrible stuff that we saw him do, like throw it right to the other team's linebacker. Now, I personally don't know how I don't know if he's going to get it done, but we know that rookies aren't going to win the MVP.
Well, I would say we almost know even more that no one in the media is going to vote for Deshaun Watson for MVP, and
it's been enough time. Time's passed.
No.
Time has passed.
No. There's no way Deshaun Watson will ever win an MVP, let alone this year.
You think the issue might come up again?
You have to know when to come.
There is a chance. I mean, okay, yeah. CJ Stroud was at least in the mix in the discussion. Got a couple. Is there a version where Caleb Williams comes in and he's actually better than CJ Stroud because of the receivers they have around him, because of that Bears defense? I mean, if the Bears actually have a quarterback, the sports world is going to melt down. And if he takes them to 13-4, they might give him the Rookie of the Year. I still am not taking it because he is a rookie, but between these two, I would take Caleb Williams by a mile.
3 elements of pushback here. One, the difficulty of the division. I think you have a very
AFC North super competitive too.
South.
No, I'm comparing it to Cleveland, Deshaun Watson.
Oh yeah, but you're talking about the rookies. I'm
No,
saying,
I was talking about Caleb Williams versus Deshaun Watson.
Oh, you weren't talking about CJ. You mentioned CJ Stroud as a benchmark point.
Yeah, I was saying,
Yeah,
what
okay.
if he's better than CJ Stroud was last year?
And I was going to say CJ Stroud was in a dome in a weaker division. That would be the main point there. And I think the weather does matter. Now, Caleb Williams might be better than CJ Stroud. He's certainly a better prospect than CJ Stroud, but the offense that he's going into has not excited anyone ever. And the offense that CJ Stroud went into has excited a lot of people in a lot of different places. And so, yeah, I do think that Deshaun Watson has a better path to the MVP. That's how I would word it. I don't like it though.
Toss it in the chat. Who would you rather have? I see producer Josh already has Sam Darnold 300 to 1 MVP ticket or one free $10 slot machine spin.
Oh, I would definitely take the Sam Darnold ticket.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
One free spin.
Yeah.
Sean, what do I look like? A hobo?
No, but I
Can't afford my own spins.
I would get more enjoyment.
So what do you do with one spin?
The same thing you do with the Sam Darnold ticket.
I need at least 40 spins, or I'm just gonna get irritated and want to get up and go. All right, so we're not interested here. All right, 60 to 1. I'll do the next three together. Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Kirk Cousins. Baker 60 to 1, Kyler 50 to 1, Kirk Cousins 40 to 1. Well, boy, the media is going to feel bad for Kirk and how they drafted Michael Penix, and wife's got family in the area, and how can he go to dinner on Sunday night with the in-laws and explain the situation? Is it going to be him? Is it going to be Penix? His nephews are wearing Michael Penix jerseys because he's the cool new quarterback, not Kirk Cousins anymore. To me, this is not a Kirk Cousins conversation. It's a Kyler Murray conversation.
Yeah.
We've already kind of talked. I've been bullish on the Cardinals. You throw them in with the Titans and the teams that I'm bullish on next year. Kyler is set up. Marvin Harrison kind of confirms what we thought earlier in the offseason when we discussed this. The dual threat ability, the fact that it looks like, although you thought Gannon would be a bit of a clown, like the team kind of had elements of being scrappy, and the players seem to like him as a coach. And so I'm intrigued to see what this offense especially looks like in one more step forward. And I think most importantly, they're my favorite contrarian play, I think, in the NFC in terms of, well, if they can get to winning the division, what does that look like? And I certainly think Kyler has to play his ass off.
I'm with you. And I just, again, this is a value thing. Kyler, as a guy who's shown some flashes of playing at a super high level, for him to get there, I don't think is crazy. Some of the moves they've done in the offseason, you're right. Like they had some scrappiness. They brought in more guys. This should be a nice opportunity.
James Conner, they added Trey Benson. They bring in Marvin Harrison. They like what they have in Michael Wilson. Trey McBride looking like an emerging star last year. There are certainly reasons to be excited about this team. Now, whether or not Kyler, again, we might be back talking about how he's running like a gymnast down there, about to do the vault. Get a little.
Does look like he's about to hop on the pommel horse.
Little triple flip, 50 whatever 900 spin. But yeah, do you remember what we first talked about this at? It might have been 50 to 1. I have a 50 to 1 from earlier in the off season.
Okay.
But I thought when I grabbed it, it was a little bit worse off than what we originally found. But Kyler at 50 to 1 to me, and also for fantasy purposes, he's the last dual threat guy. If you're not counting Jaden Daniels,
and it's weird, I can't find Kyler Murray comeback player of the year because that's an interesting. It'll be interesting.
He's not listed.
No, I know that's weird.
No, that was a question. He's not. They're not listing him.
I didn't see it on DK. No,
is it because he came back enough last year?
No, the
threshold for comeback is very interesting.
Well, again, if we're not counting coming back from the dead, and Joe Flacco only played.
He came in second place.
Joe Flacco only played 5 games, so the comeback player of the year market is crazy because no one listed Joe Flacco before the season
because he hadn't come back yet.
And Kyler only played 8 games, so I think he could qualify for comeback
That's a
player of the
lot.
year.
That's a lot of the season.
Still, you miss half a season. I mean, Joe Burrow is right up there. I don't think he missed more than 8 games.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins is up there. He definitely missed more of the season. All right, Ryan, we're going to talk some more of these lower odds. Before we do that, shout out to Naira Bets. That's right. Bet the second jewel of the Triple Crown with Naira Bets. Sign up today for a $200 deposit bonus with the promo code SGPN200. Join now to claim your $200 deposit bonus just in time for the Preakness at nyrabets.com/SGPN200. Make sure you get in over there. And we're going to be talking Preakness later on. So you want to make sure you get your action in. I already qualified for my bonus bet. I got $200 of bonus bets sitting there waiting for me right after the Kentucky Derby. They got a bunch of they got a $20 bonus on your ticket winnings by hitting an exacta on any or all the races at the Belmont and the Big A on Sunday as well. And then there's a feeder contest. There are so many other bonus opportunities. Just head over to nyrabets.com/SGPN200. Use promo code SGPN200.
All right. So it's kind of, I mean, Kyler played. Yeah, I guess it's the difference is Kyler finished the season. Kirk Cousins missed the final 9 games. Joe Burrow missed the final 7 games. Perhaps because Kyler finished the season playing 8 games, he's not coming back anymore.
Could be.
How was he not a contestant last year? What a strange award. It's one of the. I mean I know we joke about it, but DeMar Hamlin not winning was one of the more shocking outcomes of the season.
Maybe the NFL didn't want to remind people that you can die on the field, so they didn't want to highlight that.
It could be that Commissioner Goodell doesn't want to highlight someone who's not that good. Like, I know we're not supposed to say it, but DeMar Hamlin's having a hard time getting on the field. We don't want to celebrate betas in the NFL. Alphas only. All right. We didn't really talk much about Baker. You're typically a Baker guy.
Yeah, I think he's interesting, but the MVP case
also was the former number 1 pick.
Yeah,
has talented receivers.
But Ryan, we know who Baker is. You know, some of these other guys that we're betting on, there's still an aura of mystery. And with Kyler, you've at least seen he's been around. We kind of probably know who Kyler is, but there's at least been enough.
It's the legs that makes it more interesting.
Yeah, there's been enough high level play that you can talk yourself into it. And Will Levis, we're betting on the unknown there. He's kind of a mystery. We've only seen him in his rookie year. And to his credit, there were some flashes where I think the case against Bryce Young is like, man, just like some wet flint. There was just no flashes at all in the Bryce Young era. So yeah, Baker, there's just been too much ho hum average quarterback play. Like, I think he can win you some games still. And I think they've done a good job of building around him. So I think he's a serviceable quarterback, but not an MVP, even at 60-1.
When you were describing Bryce Young, you made me remember. I was recently at a soccer tryout, and I watched the very beginning of the tryout, the drill. It's like just through the warm up phase, and you're getting to the point where you're doing the kind of a little bit of a competitive drill as a warm up, and one girl just ran through the other girl. The other girl just crying, leaves the field. At tryouts over for her. That was Bryce Young's first season. Like the career's
game over.
Career's over. I'm not interested until. Is there anything he could do in the preseason or the off season to get you excited about Bryce Young? There's nothing. I don't know.
Right? The problem was he looked tiny. It wasn't like he was making some bad reads. Like the stuff that Will Levis did was bad.
His receivers couldn't get open, Sean.
Well, no, I mean, I do think that was part of Will Levis's problem, and they got him Calvin Ridley.
No, I meant that was my Bryce Young comment.
Oh, Adam Thielen was open. And what have they done receiver wise that's so different? Oh, Deontay Johnson.
Leggett.
Yeah,
Deontay Johnson does get open. We appreciate his ability to do that. All right, next up, another guy I got in the pocket, Jared Goff.
Ooh, okay.
35-1. he's sitting there with Anthony Richardson also at 35-1. Goff, I do have it 40-1. No big deal. But to me, the equation there is the access to the number 1 seed is very, very real. The odds are quite short. Certainly there's a ton of weapons here. I know there's running backs involved, but Jared Goff, former number 1 pick with an offensive coordinator that has stuck around 2 straight years because he likes what he has, and they're working towards something. And so this makes a ton of sense to me. Jared Goff, could Jared Goff lead the league in passing yards playing in the dome up there? Yes. I don't think their defense is going to be a juggernaut this year. I know they drafted some rookie corners, but rookie corners tend to struggle right away. So the idea that they're in some higher scoring games and they're a team at the top of the conference, put me down. Jared Goff, number 1 picks only, except for Will Levis. He's the outlier.
I definitely see the case for Jared Goff, Ryan.
Honestly, next to Anthony Richardson, to me, I feel like I think he has a much clearer path to the number 1 overall seed if that's one of the qualifications.
It is. But that being said, I'm still going AR-15.
I know you are. That's why his picture's on the
is awesome. Now. Hey, he is such an exciting player to watch. He is a guy that can really get it with his legs as well.
I will say the NFL.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
NFL not leaning into the AR-15 nickname.
I mean, he reminds me, in the same way that we only got to see Lamar Jackson for like 5 games at the end of his rookie year. And then the following year, he ended up blowing up and going on to win MVP. That formula is there for AR-15. I think they're a well-coached team.
Yep.
I like what they did in the draft. Obviously they play at home in a dome that's conducive to scoring. I think Shane Steichen is a good head coach. I think their path to the number 1 seed, they strike me as a team, and this is early take here, where they can get the number 1 seed and then maybe only win one playoff game, get knocked out by like a savvy veteran, one of these veteran AFC teams, maybe a little too early for them. But at 35-1, I'm 100% in on Anthony Richardson.
I get it. He's certainly interesting. In a way, I don't quite understand why his price isn't Kyler's price. Like Jared Goff should be shorter odds than AR-15. I think
I get it. Yeah. But I think it's not because
he's played 4 games. I mean, he's
because people are excited by new fancy shiny things.
I know, but we talked about the unknown with Will Levis at 150-1. That we're down in the realm of quarterbacks who we've seen. I mean, the next guy we're going to talk about has won an MVP award before, and so I just think you're in the world of, yes, could I see this team going like that? The offense is set up for success. 100%. The defense, we'll see, but this team, certainly the way that Steichen calls plays, I like the ceiling.
Goff, I see it, right? I see. Okay, hey, he's in a good situation. He's 35-1. His path to get the number 1 seed, and he's a quarterback, is there. The argument against Goff, or at least what is preventing the market from being more interested in Goff, and I think what ultimately is going to hurt him is, at the end of the day, Ryan, he still is Jared Goff.
Yep.
We've seen him play quarterback for 8 years.
People feel bad for him.
We're going into the 9th year. He's getting paid like he's an MVP, but we've never really had a season where we're like, oh, Jared Goff in the mix for MVP. I mean, they finished 12-5 last year, and there was no discussion ever of Jared Goff sneaking, even sniffing, right? He didn't even get a cent of that MVP.
You brought up the 1 seed thing.
No, I think it's completely relevant. I think if the Lions get the number 1 seed, I would bet you $1 million that the MVP is going to be the number 1 seed in the AFC, because the marketplace voters, he is unsexy.
I think it's going to take also some counting stats. He's going to need to be near the top in passing yards or something like that. But I like his access more than a guy that really struggled to finish football games. Big, strong, tough guy. Except for when play. I mean, he started 4 games. He finished 2. That's pretty impressive. And then he was knocked out for the season. Oh, by the way. All right, next tier, a 25-1. Aaron Rodgers, Tua, Matty Stafford. Any interest in any of these guys? Stafford was interesting last year at 50 to 1 or 70 to 1.
Nope,
not quite the same. I know the offense could be pretty sexy. Tua 25 to 1.
No, and again, I mean the same reason I didn't like Tyreek Hill. Like I think they kind of hurt each other's MVP chances. Also, Tua is Tua, right? Like no one's ever gonna talk themselves into Tua being awesome. And I don't
not
see
with
him,
Tyreek Hill on the team.
Yeah, and I don't see him
injury.
finishing strong in cold weather. He's obviously struggled, so I don't think so. Aaron Rodgers, I think the media finds him insanely annoying.
He did win in 2020 and 2021.
Yeah, that's before he got on the McAfee show and like
it's the last back-to-back winner.
Yeah, he's
won 4.
You know, the whole COVID stuff, which the media seems to be really annoyed at him for. Regardless of your opinions on it, my opinion is the media finds him annoying.
That's fair,
and I think his path is going to be tough. And at 25 to 1, I don't like it.
We haven't spoken of any other people that have won recently. So
Yes.
relative, his price is very long.
And in a weird way, I think that's going to hurt him. Because people will be like, he's already got 3 MVPs. They're not going to give him a 4th. So they'll talk themselves into someone else very easily over Aaron Rodgers.
All right. So since 2017, I
mean, he would just have to have such a crazy runaway success, completely undeniable. And we also have to factor in it's the Jets. That cannot be understated, Ryan.
Over the last 6 seasons, we've had 3 MVP winners: Lamar Jackson, who is 13 to 1, Patrick Mahomes, who's 5 to 1, and Aaron Rodgers, who's 25 to 1. Are we sure?
Yeah.
Okay. I agree with you. 20 to 1. Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy, Trevor Lawrence. This is the most, you couldn't have scripted a better tier of quarterbacks to be paired up with Jalen Hurts. This is hilarious. Care to comment, Sean?
No, I mean
your favorite, Brock Purdy and Trevor Lawrence, also 20 to 1.
Goldilocks. Are you kidding me?
Crazy.
20 to 1.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I don't even know if I would like Jaguars #1 seed at 21 to 1.
I would take Deshaun Watson over him, Baker Mayfield over him, Kyler, basically all the quarterbacks we've spoken about.
Well, I mean, if the price, certainly I would take.
Would you take Trevor Lawrence or would you take Trevor Lawrence at 75 to 1?
Yeah, I would.
Would you take Trevor Lawrence at 50 to 1?
Probably.
That's where his price should be for me.
That's where I'm intrigued, because he's
the same as Kyler.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. He's a guy who was drafted high,
#1 pick,
kind of inconsistent, has had a few moments of flash where you're like, all right, I see why this guy was popular. They're
plays
trying
for
to
a loser franchise.
Yeah, no real fan base. So yeah, no, you're right. He should be priced the same as Kyler Murray.
Tua as well. They're in the same bucket to me, and I like
Tua. I'd put it 60 to 1.
All right, so obviously we're out on Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy. You can't ignore it, but there's no value to this price.
No,
I honestly, I'm still in the camp. I'm the contrarian who thinks maybe at some point Brock Purdy will be had like every other Shanahanian quarterback.
Brock Purdy will be what?
Find me a quarterback that has had long-term success in that offense, not named Matt Schaub. Matt Schaub was an outlier.
Yeah, again, Purdy, I think last year was his chance to get it done. Obviously you saw the Eagles. It's tough to run it back after you lose the Super Bowl. I don't know, there's a chance they trade Debo and the other thing is you have another skill player at 50 to 1, which I think is going to eat away at your odds here.
To me, Purdy, and you're not going to like this, but from the MVP odds perspective, Purdy and Hurts are the same guy. I think Barkley entering the equation with AJ Brown creates enough turbulence. I'm not saying they're on the same level with McCaffrey and whatever receivers you want to throw in there, but I think just the idea that I think it makes Hurts less interesting this year than last year previously.
Yeah, I guess I disagree with that. I don't think bringing in Saquon Barkley. I mean, Saquon Barkley. Look at his MVP odds compared to Christian McCaffrey. I don't think you can really compare that.
I'm saying there's enough like quote unquote star power around Jalen Hurts that could create turbulence.
Yeah, yeah. I guess I don't. It's a fine line between the star power helping your team win and get you to the number 1 seed and having you look good. I think also he had a near MVP season that when they went to the Super Bowl, he didn't get rewarded for that. I think voters could look at that and be like, all right, maybe we should have given it to him in 2022. I think this is a nice redemption year for Hurts at 20-1. I think the narrative is there. So love it.
Do you have his odds from, I'm going to pull, is this better or worse than his odds last year?
The odds are higher. He was like 12-1, I think, last year.
So we're getting a little bit of a discount here.
Oh, definitely. Big discount.
Yeah. I'm not interested in anyone on this tier. Jalen Hurts was 12-1.
Yeah.
Do you want to know what Brock Purdy's were? Let's see if we even
probably like 40-1.
40-1.
Yeah.
All right. So that's probably. I mean,
no, I think Hurts is a great price because I think you're going to see Eagles number 1 seed be at like 8-1.
So you like the MVP over the number 1 seed? Like, there's no, in your mind, there's no way they get the number 1 seed and he doesn't get the MVP.
I think it would be a pretty strong case. Yeah.
Could be that same case that you were talking about with Jared Goff, where the AFC has a stronger candidate. That would be the most likely outcome to me. Like not like being the number 1 seed and not winning probably means the other guy was just above you. Like you got beat out by the quarterback from the AFC.
Sure, that's possible. But at 20-1, I think it's a good price.
You're probably right. But I'm not getting involved in this tier. Too rich for my blood. Dak Prescott 16-1. What the fuck are we doing? And Justin Herbert 16-1. Here's what's crazy.
Yeah,
Justin Herbert
no respect in the fantasy
going off
or the
as
props.
QB 14 or QB 15 right now.
Yeah.
But his odds being 16-1, which brings him in at tied for 7th shortest odds with Dak. Him and Dak in the same tier, kind of fitting, Sean. They're kind of the same player. I would never say this to Justin Decker's face, but Herbert and Dak might be the same guy, Sean.
Have we ever seen them in the same area?
I don't know. I don't know. I know they were both raised by hippies, and I know they generally melt in big situations, but we would never say that publicly. Not to Justin Decker. I'm no interest, right? Neither guy.
No, especially not at this price. Are you kidding me?
Could Harbaugh like?
I was the Justin Herbert 16-1. That was the one MVP price that like really surprised me.
No, I think that like we're in the stretch of ones that surprised me because the next one up, and I'll pair him with Lamar to have a partner. But Jordan Love 14-1, Lamar 13-1. The more we go through these last couple, the more that it makes me like the Hurts price more and more.
Yeah. Well, Jordan Love again is the is the quarterback that was in the, that had the 49ers on the ropes there, and they
one game.
No, I'm telling you, he beat Dallas in Dallas. The idea is like, hey, that was his first year as a true starter. Now he's going to make the jump up. It's a popular market in Green Bay. You've seen Aaron Rodgers do it before. Matt LaFleur has coached up MVP players. I'm giving you why it's 14-1. I'm with you. I don't like that price.
He lost to Tommy fucking DeVito.
He did.
On prime time. Tommy fucking DeVito.
Hey, I'm with you.
That's a bad price. I'm always interested in Lamar. Always interested in Lamar. It's a tough road. Don't love taking short prices, but this is a fine price for Lamar. He did just win. Does that make it more difficult? Any data on the back-to-back stuff? Doesn't seem to really matter.
Aaron Rodgers did it. Yeah, I mean,
Manning did it. Favre did. I mean, it's been done. Unitas did it. It happens like once a decade.
I do think though there would be some hesitancy in giving Lamar a third one because I do think 3-time MVP, that is rarefied air. And then
you don't think he deserves it because he's soft in the playoffs?
I think
that factor into your thought?
No,
there?
I think that would factor into the voters. The fact that this guy hasn't won a Super Bowl.
All right, you know what? I'll pass.
I'm saying I think there's going to be some hesitancy in giving Lamar a third MVP, and I don't think. And you look at the 2023 year, you look at those odds compared to previous years. It was kind of a soft MVP candidacy by Lamar. I think he deserved it, but just the way things shook out at the end, it was kind of like he was last man standing versus it's not like he started the season and had this dominant year.
Just think about it though. He's going to be in the backfield with Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
That's going to be pretty fun. That's one of the things I'm looking forward to this football season. All right, I'll pass. Joe Burrow. Come on, you don't think that's going to be electric? Watch it. I don't know why I like the Ravens. It's not a good spot to be. CJ Stroud.
No, I mean they're the AFC Cowboys, right?
Oh, I know.
They'll be good in the regular
saying,
season.
Derrick Henry behind Lamar Jackson sounds electric. Someone clip that. If we get the Wolf to do some AI art.
Ryan has like this look in his eye. What you want is a what is it, a minotaur where it's half horse, half man, but the horse's head is Derrick Henry. That's what you're looking for your AI image, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not Derrick Henry behind Lamar. That's a different.
Well, that's your own images, Ryan. Whatever you do in your free time.
Who's that new?
I'm not one to judge.
Who's that new fruity rapper? Something he might be into. All right, 10-1. Joe Burrow, CJ Stroud. Joe Burrow, you got to give it a look.
Joe Burrow's going to get one of these, right?
It does seem like he's the guy. He's the shark swimming around. That if we're talking
one
about
of these years, Burrow's going to get it. The problem is,
well, if we're talking first time MVP, what do you set the odds at? Do you put Josh Allen ahead of Joe Burrow? So I'll just finish it out. Josh Allen 8-1, Patrick Mahomes 5-1.
Yeah.
So if we just move Mahomes to the side, because that plus 500 is going to probably look delicious when he wins another one this year.
No, but I think, well, yeah, and maybe Mahomes is one of those weird cases where he benefits by not having anyone around him, but he won previously with Tyreek Hill. I think he needs, and the Chiefs are a team that starts slow.
So if we take the guys off who've won recently, so Lamar and Mahomes out of there, how do you handicap Allen versus Burrow? Because to me, the odds being Allen slight favorite 8-1 versus 10-1 for Burrow.
So this is interesting too, because in one way, obviously Burrow has better receivers that it's going to help him get win more games, and ultimately get to the number 1 seed. But the narrative will certainly be there for Josh Allen if he gets it. If they get rid of Stephon Diggs and he gets it done with the rookie Keon Coleman with 2 tight ends, I think.
Do you think they're going to get it done though?
Well, and he gets it done running the ball. I think that is really why of these top chalky guys, I kind of would go Josh Allen of these 4 at the price.
See, I think it doesn't matter what they have to do, and it doesn't matter that Joe Burrow has more help. If they're the number 1 seed,
no, you're probably right.
Joe Burrow gets it. If Josh Allen's the number 1 seed, they get it. So who do you like better to get the 1 seed? Because I don't think I like the Bills more than the Bengals.
See, I guess that's where I'd push back slightly, because I do think the AFC. Well,
I disagree. I think they're strangely in a difficult division, because the one bad team in the Bills division plays them tough in the Patriots.
I'm gonna go Josh Allen just because narrative wise, I think him putting the team on his back, running the ball a little bit more. If it's close for whatever reason, I think he's gonna get the benefit of the doubt. But I see the case for CJ Stroud. Honestly, neither one of these guys I'm firing on. I'm happy with the 4 I got.
I would take Burrow. If the game is I have to take someone in the chalky bucket, I think I would take Joe Burrow. It kind of feels like we're at that point, right? No one doubts that he's one of the dudes. He's got the players around him. This is probably going to be T. Higgins' last. In a way, this is a window closing. Whatever you backfill with T. Higgins, you're not going to remain the same. You already lost Tyler Boyd, so I do think this is an interesting year for the Bengals. Now they're also in a tough division, which I don't know if that hurts or helps, but if I'll take Burrow 10-1. So Burrow 10-1, Goff 35-1, Kyler 51, Levis 1.
Ryan, the results are in. 95% would rather have a free $10 slot machine.
Oh, come on. I mean, what do I know? What do I care?
Mike Robb chirping at me. Who's saying that? Sean is taking the MVP futures on Penix, Nix, and McCarthy, right? He said it was stupid to not draft them, as he saw it as a can't miss opportunity. I mean, is Mike Robb my wife? I feel like you're changing my words here slightly, Mike.
Are we betting? Well, he's saying you want to take the action.
No. He's making fun of me for saying. I'm guessing he's a Giants fan who was upset that I made fun of them for drafting Malik Neighbors instead of a quarterback. You know, Mike, both can be true. I think the Giants should have selected a quarterback, should have taken a shot at quarterback, if not offensive line. I think receiver was the last thing they needed. And as we laid out, I'm not going to take any rookie quarterback action.
You know more. That last comment.
Japan is saying Dave's for MVP. Ryan, what's going on here? Is this a Giants takeover?
Maybe, but what you tried to sneak in there and saying they didn't need a receiver that's just a reckless comment that someone's going to come after you and attack your lack of knowledge.
The receivers suck, but it was not what you should be using that draft capital on.
Taking the top prospect at that point to better the overall roster, like we've discussed, it's the reason why the Vikings was seen as a good situation because Justin Jefferson exists, and so you upgrade the roster.
Yeah, I disagree.
Sure, you can disagree. I think the overall consensus agreed with the decision. So, and to that point,
so we're grading by consensus here. We're not.
Oh no, but you do grade by consensus.
How so?
Because you love to read the consensus on Howie Roseman. So.
But in this case, a good GM.
But in this case, what he's saying is relatively accurate. You do believe that those guys will be in the MVP mix at some point in their career.
On all of them? No, I think the Giants will regret
the guys the Giants could have taken.
One of those quarterbacks will pop during the next upcoming years. Yeah, I think the Giants will look
Penix. So the double Knicks, the PE Knicks, and the nothing before it Knicks, and McCarthy. One of them.
My official statement is the Giants will look back on this draft and regret not taking a quarterback.
Okay.
Case closed.
Got it. See, the biggest part of this is where Sean's playing chess. Is he knows this receipt will never be brought back.
No.
So you can say whatever you want.
Book it, Ryan.
Yeah, stop it.
Book it.
Stop it. I mean. Well, all right. I'll book it.
Book it.
Book it.
So officially, I'm on Jalen Hurts at 20-1, AR-15 at 35-1, Kyler at 50-1, Will Levis 150-1. So Kramer, you got Burrow, Goff, Kyler, Levis.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I mean the Burrow one. I don't know. I'm going back and forth on Josh Allen there. It's interesting.
I definitely would take Burrow before Allen. I think, yeah, definitely.
And I think maybe we'll even throw.
Dable's not on the team anymore. Remember, it's now year 3 without Dave.
Well, now I mean, look out because Ryan, I didn't see Drew Lock on this sheet.
I'm gonna be emailing.
How does that happen?
I'm shocked.
How does that happen?
I wasn't able to find a number.
Producer Jake, we got to get you doing a Photoshop of Dable, from the scene in Ghost of him molding the clay. And Drew Lock's head on the top of the vase.
Yeah, that's a good off-season pick. If we can get my head on Dable's body in some way, I'll throw that on the old X profile.
Well, with the beard, I think it looks pretty good.
I need a new X profile. So if the graphics team can figure out my head on something.
Tomcat in the chat agrees with me, Ryan, saying Neighbors is going to end up getting arrested and suspended. Well, I mean, hopefully they're at least. That. Maybe you can get Plaxico Burress to explain New York gun laws to
here you go, Neighbors, your TMZ take.
Neighbors
mistaken identity, just a little case of mistaken identity.
Neighbors, Sean. So he avoids any and there's a lot of tempting parades in the New York area, Ryan.
Stop it. I mean, come on.
Hey,
we don't need to address the Jalen Carter situation.
We got a great week of shows. We got PGA Championship. We got the Preakness, NYRABets.com/SGPN 200. Get in over there. What else we got going on, Ryan? A little bonus UFL podcast.
We got golf. Well, I haven't heard anyone say, "Hey,
oh, you're right.
Don't cancel the UFL." So currently, the UFL's been canceled because Wednesday night instead of the UFL, we'll be doing a little schedule reaction. Like Sean was saying, we're doing some games of the year. So if you like CLV, if that makes you rock hard, if CLV makes you rock hard, join in, or whatever the female equivalent is. Golf, horse
game
racing, of the
year, closing line value really makes you wet as a woman. You're not going to want to miss this episode.
Yeah, and if that's true, Sean also would love to send you a hoodie.
Yeah, there you go. If you're a female listener who gets really turned on by closing line value, email us podcast@sportsgamblingpodcast.com.
Yo, my girlfriend gets turned on all the time by CLV.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
Track that shit in Betstamp.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean. Stacking the money green. He's Ryan.
Will Levis, baby.
Kramer. Let it ride.